My name is Antonova, and I work at the Rachel Carson Center for Environment and Society at LMU Munich. Since the beginning of 2020, I have been Director of Environmental Humanities Development here, responsible for the development of a new master's program in Environment and Society, which will run here from fall of 2022. Together with my team, I've spent a lot of time thinking about ways for our program to take on the exciting interdisciplinarity and engagedness of environmental research. And I have relatedly also reflected on how to do that better in my own teaching at the LMU. As a scholar, I work at the intersection of critical policy studies, political ecology, and environmental humanities. And one of the questions that preoccupies me is what brings about positive change, and especially what motivates different actors to fight for their visions of environment and society, even when things look bleak. The resource I will be sharing with you today comes from this concern and from a question I found that helped me address it in the field that I then brought into my teaching. So in last year's summer semester, I taught an interdisciplinary course entitled Tourist Landscapes, Tourism, Environment and Society. Throughout the semester, my students and I debated many of the issues and challenges raised by the tourist industry worldwide, including overconstruction and ecosystem pressures, the flawed imaginaries of the other landscapes and people alike, and the difficulty of balancing economic development against sustainability. But in order to go beyond these issues, I drew on an exercise and a question that I had discovered in the field, simply asking people to imagine an ideal relationship between themselves, the communities that they are part of, and the landscapes that they embody. I had found that engaging with participants' capacity to imagine and to dream often unlocked not only their deepest motivation for pursuing positive change, but also enabled them to reflect beyond self-criticism on how they might go about pursuing their vision. And the answers that I received spanned solutions that were not only felt, but often very pragmatic, political, and civically aware and engaged. In class, I adapted this in two steps. First, I prepared students for the exercise by having them read work by Gibson Graham and Miller that proposes seeing the economy as an ecological relation between humans through societal behaviors embedded within the landscape. Students thought about specific examples like cooperatives or sustainable initiatives that present new or alternative economic models. And then next in class, I invited students to reimagine a famous local tourist event and attraction, Oktoberfest. The timing for this was quite right because the pandemic had just begun, Oktoberfest 2020 had been cancelled, and so I was able very realistically to invite students to imagine that Oktoberfest was being reconceived, and I invited them to think about it as though they themselves were giving unlimited power and money to conceptualize it however they liked for 2021 in a way that would fit their vision for the communities they inhabited and the landscapes in which these communities were embedded. I set students out to brainstorm this in groups, and then we came together and discussed their solutions. And the answers blew me away. My students at LMU come from diverse disciplinary and national backgrounds, and they had brought their different types of knowledge to bear on the exercise. Their imaginaries covered a wealth of aspects. For example, they considered the urban spatiality of Oktoberfest, thinking about ways of dislocating it from its current location and dispersing it across the city to both alleviate pressure on the landscape and embed it better into the urban landscape. They thought about culture and sought to reinstate more traditional aspects grounded in Oktoberfest's historical origins in order to revive its societal function while still appealing in new ways to a global audience. They considered the products consumed at Oktoberfest suggested more sustainable resourcing as well as reconnecting the tourist consumer to the food and beer's origins. One of the most radical proposals suggested an Oktoberfest that involves visitors into the food's production and into the brewing as a way of reattaching the whole experience to nature. I don't have time to cover all of the ways that they reimagined the fest, but in short, the exercise enabled students to reflect back on different kinds of environmental and societal issues that we have debated in class, but also, and more importantly, to go beyond the issues and to think of themselves, imagining new pathways, and to rediscover their motivation to work towards positive change. And as their instructor, I have to say that I found myself just as motivated and inspired, and altogether awed at everything that I'd learned from them. I look forward to trying this exercise again this year in my class, and I also look forward to discussing other resources with all of you in workshop. Thank you.